So what are users doing in the mobile landscape? We've seen this massive shift. So until pretty much the advent of the iPhone and the smartphone, it was all about text and calling, and that's what people did with their devices. And even though we had the early days with the mobile web, the WAP sites, primarily it was about just making phone calls and sending text messages. But as soon as people have these connected devices in their pockets, it all changes. Things like gaming is a really important element, and smartphones are beginning to replace the handheld game devices, the Nintendo DS's. We're seeing it, obviously, our personal organizer. I mean, if you think back to 10 years ago, people would have a separate PDA. Who has one anymore? We do it all on our mobile phones, our smartphones, because they have calendars, they have apps for organizing your life. So almost any activity, email, retail, any of those things are now done on our mobile devices. So we're seeing this point where it is an increasingly smart world. It's like we're at a tipping point here, where the smartphone in everybody's pockets and the hands enables us to do anything we want. And this will change the way that brands interact, because suddenly all advertising can become responsive. Suddenly, when people walk into your store, they can compare prices, stock, availability, there and then. This is an example of how things have changed. So in 2010, smartphones were already overtaking PC sales. By the end of next year, the mobile internet is going to overtake desktop use, and we're seeing this very rapid rise. Similarly, by 2015, people will be carrying out more searches through their mobile device than they will through their desktop. So this graph here represents the US and the EU5, and it shows how that growth is continuing to change the landscape that we're in. But it's not just about the growth of smartphones, is also what we're doing with them. And again, if we look at this graph represents the activity in the UK for the last year. We're seeing a growth across everything. So above all, mobile web is used the most. Although certain users, particularly iPhone users, love their apps, the mobile web is still more significant. But also, it's important not to forget the role of mobile email. And again, we're seeing a growth there to the point where email is actually is going to be overtaking desktop email very soon. We've actually seen a dip in web-based email usage and a shift towards mobile email. SMS is remaining steady, and although there is a slight tail off, it's because we're pretty much at saturation point already. Everybody can text, everybody does so. But what's interesting, if you look at this red line at the bottom, is the rise of mobile search. And actually, mobile search is beginning to overtake things like messaging in its total usage. Now, this is the problem for brands, is that as soon as we give everybody these devices where you can do everything, the traditional methods of communication, the traditional silos, just don't work anymore. But brands still work very much in this way, so they see things very much as you need to contact call centers, you need to work through specific set channels. But of course, what's happening in reality is that as users, we're tweeting to brands, we're emailing brands, we can text them, we can interact with them through a whole number of channels. And this is a single conversation. So this is what the user is doing. So the brands need to understand that, and it's about finding their natural place within the mobile landscape. If you want to understand mobile users, the key really is to think about our relationship with the devices. If you understand how mobile users relate to their handsets, then you will understand how to do mobile marketing. So the first thing that users see is innovative. Now, this came out in a study from Orange. Orange every year do a study of usually 2,000 users on what they do in mobile media. And innovative, they asked them a number of questions about how they view different media. So television, they said, was entertaining. Radio was informative. Newspapers, they said, strangely enough, was trustworthy. And one of the things they said about mobile was they see it as innovative. Now, when you think about that, if you imagine every time you get a new handset, it does something the old one didn't do. So we had color screens, we had cameras, now we've got smartphones that got web browsers that you can download apps. It's the place where new things happen. Now, that's a real potential for brands. Now, this is not a license to start delivering gratuitous technology to your mobile devices, but what it is, it's a good place to try out new ideas. Users are used to new things happening on their phones. The other element that's very important is immediacy. There is no point in delivering, for example, a voucher if you then have to go and print it out and take it to the shop and so on. People want to do things now on their mobile phones. And there's been enough studies, there was a recent one from Google and Ipsos, which showed that a lot of mobile searches, for example, nearly 90% are all about immediacy. It's about doing things right now. But trust is also the key. And time and again, when we're dealing with mobile marketing, you will see how important it is to gain the trust of the user. It's about permissions, but it's also about functionality, about UX. You need to deliver a great experience. People need to trust your brand before they're going to let you into their mobile device. The other element is relevance. We've already said this is a thing that you have with you all the time. It's always there, always on. Now, and relevance isn't just simply about the relevance of the content. I might want to know about a fashion brand, but don't always want to know about that fashion brand. I don't want to know about it in the middle of the night. So what I want when I'm out shopping on a Saturday afternoon is very different to what I want when I'm at work on a Monday morning. So relevance is not just about what, but it's also about where and about when. And timing is absolutely the key to mobile marketing. But probably above all, if there's one thing that defines a mobile device above anything else, it's this personalness. If you think about the different devices we have around us, televisions, PCs, smartphones, they're all potentially capable of doing much the same thing. Our televisions are increasingly connecting to the internet. And the difference between a mobile device and, for example, a television isn't simply just about screen size. It's also about our relationship with it. So television is very much a shared experience. It's what they call the lean-back technology. It's something you lean back, you're entertained. Mobile is a very personal relationship. It's how we communicate with our loved ones. The information we have on it is all about ourselves. So brands need to understand that personalness. If you get it right, if you can tap into that personalness, that sense of identity, then you can be very, very successful. But if you get it wrong, you will drive your customers away like no other channel